Hello, everybody. This is Seth Williams from the REtipster blog, and today I've got Nellie Akalp here from CorpNet.com. And Nellie, why don't you say hello to everybody?
Hi, Seth.
Hey.
And morning to you all.
I had the good fortune of being able to get about an hour here to just sit down with Nellie and just talk a little bit about, who she is, what her website is all about, and kind of discussing a lot of the issues in terms of like corporate formation and that kind of thing that real estate investors have to deal with, a lot of the common questions that we all have. So I just thought, this was a good opportunity to sit down with an expert and just cover a lot of those ins and outs and details and just get her feedback and thoughts on how to handle some of these things. So Nellie, I'm wondering, for those of the listeners here that don't know you or don't know your background, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm a mother of four and an entrepreneur and a small business expert. I'm currently the CEO and founder of CorpNet.com. And here at CorpNet, our company provides business legal document filings and compliance for any and all business owners who are a new startup or who are an existing business owner who want to start a business or an investment, protect their real estate investments. We basically provide legal document filings to anybody who wants to set up an entity for their business or their real estate asset or development, and we help them with setting up all the documents and preparing all the documents and filing it in the state that they're trying to protect their assets. So, for example, for your audience, if they're trying to set up an LLC for their real estate asset, what we do is we help set up all the documentation required for the LLC to come into existence in that particular state. And then once the LLC is formed, we can help them with all the compliance filings and tax filings required for years to come. So we become your document filings partner in all 50 states for whatever you need to help protect your business assets.
Sure, absolutely. And I know, I have sort of a banking background. I had a lot of experience setting up LLCs and corporations in my own home state, but I know for the average person, this is not like a normal thing that most of us do. A lot of us don't have experience. We don't understand the paperwork side of things and all the random filings and state requirements. And it sounds like CorpNet is just a great resource that can kind of simplify a lot of that for the common person and just, make that a lot smoother. So it's almost sort of like if you want to outsource that part of your business to them, that's kind of what you guys are there for.
Yeah, and we're basically the entrepreneurs and the real estate investors' concierge or go-to network when they need any assistance with any type of business filing for their real estate investment. So if they need a corporation or an LLC in any state, if they don't know what the filing requirements are or the state fees are, we take the hassle out of them doing all the legwork, and we take care of it for them in any state at a fraction of a price of what an attorney or an accountant would charge them. And really most of our business is word of mouth because we've been doing this for over 20 plus years now. And again, my background and why I've been coined a startup expert, a small business expert, is because I've been in the industry for so long. And this is my love and passion. I came out in 1997 at the birth of the internet age with my first company, grew that and sold it for a considerable amount of money. Took some time off, focused on my then growing children, and then started all over again in the same industry in 2009 with my current company, CorpNet.
And it sounds like, just from what I've seen of CorpNet, looks like, a similar repertoire or a similar set of tools that would be offered by a site like, like a My Corporation or a LegalZoom or a Rocket Lawyer or any of those. Like, am I understanding that right, or is there something different that you guys do that those others don't do?
As a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up because My Corporation was my first company. I was the founder of My Corporation.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
Yes. So we actually founded that company back in 1997 and grew it to where it was doing considerable amount of sales per month. And then we were acquired by Intuit in 2005 and they're no longer owned by Intuit today. They're a privately held company. But in answer to your question, yes, we are very similar to those companies out there, but very much more focused. And I would say much more aligned and very similar to the likes of My Corporation and Business Filings and Incorporate.com, and very, very business centric, very business focused. Whereas someone like LegalZoom offers, wills and trust and family law and, divorce filings. We're more focused on being a one-stop shop to a business owner, real estate investor, where they can come and deal with all their business legal filings.
Sure. Okay. Good to know. Now, I know for a lot of people who maybe listen to this, there may be somebody who's thinking about getting into real estate, maybe buying like a rental property or buying a piece of land or starting a land investing business or something to that effect. Or maybe some people may even have a business that's been running in their personal name for a year or something like that, and they're thinking about taking that next step to incorporating. And I'm just wondering, like from your perspective, why is this even important? Like, why does it matter that a person form their own business entity?
It's all because of liability protection and asset protection. So if a real estate investor is wanting to purchase a piece of real estate property or an investment, and they want it protected because they have other, businesses going on, simply stated, it's to protect the asset and also in many ways tax savings. Real estate LLCs nowadays are very, very, very hyped up, and it's really the way to go when you want to buy a piece of investment property, buy a piece of real estate. You want to definitely put it into an LLC, so not only the asset is being protected, but let's say you want to take that piece of real estate and you want to turn it into a rental property. Well, you also want to protect yourself from liability protection from the standpoint that, God forbid, if something happens and people are in there and something happens on the property, you don't want to be personally liable for it. And if they sue, they go after the LLC. And only, God forbid, if somebody gets a judgment against that, potential LLC, it's only to the extent of what the LLC is liable for and not whoever is the owner of that particular piece of land or real estate.
Okay, that makes sense. So basically, if your LLC owns one rental property and that's it, those assets from that one rental property, that's really all a person could go after if they were to sue that LLC. Or if you own maybe 5 under the same LLC, then they could go after the assets from that 5, but they couldn't necessarily go after you personally or take any of your personal assets. So that's kind of like one of the big liability protections. Okay.
Correct. And again, you brought up a really good point, because the question becomes, because you had mentioned like one asset versus 5 assets. And again, there can be different ways of setting up the LLC. Some people set up a holding company and have the holding company be the owner of all the different assets and have it set up under one LLC. But if you're dealing with different assets, different real estate investments, different pieces of real estate, and you have those different pieces of investment, maybe with different investors, and you have multiple cooks, in the investment, it's best to keep the LLC separate from each other and have each piece of real estate or land under its own separate LLC, because you obviously, don't want to mix it if, for example, you yourself are the sole owner of a piece of real estate, but then you have another piece of real estate and you're co-owning it with somebody else. You definitely want to keep it clean and have multiple LLCs set up for each different investment.
I mean, if I understand it right, basically whenever you start a new LLC to hold a particular property or however you want to set it up, I mean, you sort of have to have that LLC's own individual bank account, right? And then you shouldn't be, intermingling funds from one LLC with another. You want to sort of keep them separate, assuming you're doing all that. Like, do you know of any good software or resources or anything out there that can help people sort of keep all that stuff organized and straight? Because I know, like, say if you own, 10 properties and you have 10 LLCs and 10 bank accounts, and there's a lot going on there. Do you know of any good resources to help people from going crazy with all the different activity going on?
Seth, I love the questions you ask because that would be CorpNet. Your go-to person, your
cool.
go-to software would be CorpNet, because we have real estate developers and investors and even commercial investors that bring us about 400 different entities for us to manage on any given month. So the answer to your question is yes, there is a software that exists, and really the software that you're looking for is CorpNet, because we're your go-to resource to not only manage a single entity for you, but manage multiple entities for you. And really that's where our benefit is really highlighted for the end user, whether it be another professional or a real estate, developer or investor or business owner, is that, it's not about the setup phase. That's really important. It's what happens after you set up the entity and how you're going to manage the entity. So we have this amazing software, which is called our Business Information Zone. It's our compliance software, and it's free and available to anyone. You don't have to currently be a client of CorpNet. All you do is you go register all of your entities within this software. You can access it directly from our website. If you go to www.corpnet.com, go under the Run Your Business tab, which is the third tab, and you'll come down with a menu, and it's our Business Information Zone. It's also referred to as the Biz, and it's a software that allows you to register for free. There's no gimmicks, anything like that. There's no fee involved. And basically you enter all your information and all your entities that you'd like us to manage going forward. And what we do is we manage it for you by providing you with time-sensitive deadlines. We contact you and let you know when our time-sensitive deadlines and time-sensitive filings due for each of your entities for years to come. And we also monitor all of your entities and make sure that they are in active and good standing.
Wow. Yeah, I had never heard about something like this. I'm looking at it right now and it looks pretty helpful. I like that it is free. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Yes, and this is something that most of our competition charges an annual fee for. For example, I believe LegalZoom charges a fee for their corporate compliance calendar. For us, we believe in long-term relationships with our clients, and our customer for life team really comes to you and monitors these entities for you, and you even get complimentary phone calls from us that provide you with these time-sensitive filings. For example, one of our business experts will contact you and say, hey, you know what, thank you for entering your information. We just got an alert that your California entity is up for renewal, and we need to file the annual report for this entity, and we can take care of this for you. And they get a couple of pieces of updated information, and we will take care of the filing for you.
Cool. Well, that's a great resource to know about. Thanks for letting us know. I am curious, with the whole concept of forming a corporate entity to protect you from liability, I know that's kind of like one piece of it, but another piece that you kind of hear about a lot is business liability insurance or professional liability insurance. It's like, if you need one, do you need the other? Or like, do you always need to have both? If somebody sues you and they can only access your LLC, I guess that insurance would protect your LLC.
Well, I mean, that's a great question. We're an S corporation here at CorpNet, and it's not having one, and not having the other. A viable business that's profitable and it's a growing business, you're going to need, the corporation or LLC business structure, not only for liability protection, but also for tax savings purposes, because as a corporation or LLC, you are eligible for further tax savings, and a general business insurance, a general liability, commercial liability insurance, is normally needed for other purposes for the business. So, again, I'm not an insurance expert, but what I can tell you is, as a business owner, it would behoove anybody to have a corporation and not have business insurance. So every one of those serves a different purpose for the business. And my recommendation is for a business owner is to consider all their alternatives, because as a business owner myself, not only we're an S corporation for various different types of reasons that are beneficial to us, but we also have business insurance because we want that protection if there's employee issues, if there's issues that we're dealing with clients, cyber squatting, any type of cyber type of liability, we want to be covered all around.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. Now, something that I had heard about years ago when I first started getting educated about corporate entities is something called piercing the corporate veil. And I'm wondering, can you just tell us really quick, what does that mean?
So in plain English language, piercing the corporate veil is one that if somebody has a corporation or LLC and they're not complying and carrying on the business of the corporation or LLC in a way that is in compliance with the corporate laws and the LLC laws, then what's going to happen is that someone can potentially come and pierce the corporate veil and go after your personal assets and hold you personally liable. So let's say, for example, you have an LLC, okay, and you're commingling with your personal assets and you're using the LLC for other purposes than what the LLC is really meant to do, okay? Mm-hmm. Someone can potentially make a case and go up to a judge and say, you know what, this LLC is really not set up to, for the purposes of real estate investment and development. He set up this LLC to really hide his assets or, use it to, bring in and commingle personal stuff with the true purpose of the LLC. And for that reason, a reputable judge, a reputable court can hold the LLC in contempt and say, you know what, this LLC, we're going to pierce the corporate veil. We're going to pierce the LLC veil, this shield that the corporation or LLC has around it. And we're going to pierce through it. And we're going to treat this as an invalid corporation or LLC so that we can pierce and go after the personal assets of the people behind this LLC, i.e. the shareholders, the members of the LLC.
So it kind of sounds like every business owner's worst nightmare, right? I mean, that's
correct. It is every business owner's worst nightmare, and hence the whole idea of piercing of the corporate veil is one thing that we all need to be very aware of, and that's why I cannot stress the importance of keeping up with all of your corporate compliance work and making sure that the corporation or LLC is active and in good standing. Because if it's not, again, it's another recipe for disaster and how the corporate veil can be pierced.
So basically, like one way to, or a few ways to safeguard against that would be, first of all, make sure your entity is always in good standing, that you've got all the paperwork and all the requirements are met, that you're not commingling funds, your personal funds with your entity or with your entity with any other entities, just making sure it's very much a silo. Is that right?
Correct. And making sure that the LLC is being conducted based on the true purpose of what the LLC or corporation was set up to do and why it was formed in the first place.
Sure. Okay. So if you've got like a totally different business, don't start working both businesses with the same LLC, that kind of thing?
Correct. Unless your LLC is being set up to properly, maintain the other business as well. I mean, that's why we have the whole concept of holding companies and why LLCs can act as holding companies. I mean, again, I'll go back to my example of, you're a real estate investor and you want to, set up an LLC and you're going to be the sole investor or the owner of several different pieces of real estate. It may be easier for you to set up one LLC and have all of those different potential pieces of property under one LLC. Whereas if you have, different investments with other individuals, then it may be, wise for you to have your own holding company that you're the owner of all those assets underneath that one LLC, whereas have separate LLC for different, investments if those investments are being co-invested with other real estate investors as well.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I know when I used to work in commercial banking, whenever we would finance real estate projects, like it was very, very common that we would see, like say, for example, if we were financing a restaurant that was buying their own building, the restaurant would be its own operating company functioning as like an S corporation, and then they'd form a new LLC just for the purpose of owning their building. And that was it. And they'd like pay rent from one entity to another and that kind of thing. I guess the idea behind that is it kind of keeps business assets and the real estate assets sort of separate. And it was actually uncommon for people to not do it that way. So it's just kind of something to consider if you're listening to this and, if you have a business that's going to be owning real estate, it may be worth your while, talk to your attorney, obviously, but it may be worth your while to have one LLC for business and one LLC or some other kind of corporate entity for the real estate. So.
Correct. And we offer business consultations here free of charge. And again, we have a plethora of resources, and we have business startup experts live on hand that can answer general questions about your real estate investments. So it may be wise to come to CorpNet.com and request a free business consultation, or simply just call out to us, reach out to us at 1-888-449-2638. We're always open Monday through Fridays from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And maybe save that money before you go directly to a lawyer, and let us see if we can assist you so that you can save that money in legal fees and really use it when you need to.
Sure. No, that's great to know about. Thanks for mentioning that. And that actually kind of brings me to my next question, because this is something that just frustrates me to no end. And I understand why it's a problem, but basically this is something I have to do all the time whenever I'm talking about anything related to legal stuff on my blog. I always have to include disclaimers saying, I am not an attorney. This is not legal advice. Talk to your attorney to assess this situation for yourself.
Correct.
I don't want to get sued for saying that I'm an attorney when I'm not, or practicing law or anything like that. But at the same time, like practically speaking, I recognize that a lot of this stuff, it is extremely impractical for people to actually go and hire an attorney just to ask about a very minor thing that doesn't need to be obsessed over. It's just a quick, one-off question. Do you have any recommendations or parameters, like when is it actually truly worth hiring a full-blown attorney and paying him $600 an hour to start answering your questions? Like how much can you do without that, and how much do you really need that for?
Well, here's my thing. As you know, CorpNet was founded by attorney husband and wife team. My husband is a lawyer. He's a California licensed lawyer, and I don't practice law. And, my whole thing with law and lawyers is such that, I feel that they charge a ton. And for simple questions, whether it be for simply how to file a corporation or an LLC, or basic questions surrounding how to protect a piece of property in real estate, and those general questions, in my opinion, can be guided through generally by a seasoned business expert. And we have business filings experts here at CorpNet that can assist with those types of questions. Now, alternatively, if it's a question as to how should a piece of property be divided, or how it should be drafted in an LLC operating agreement, that's a question that I would definitely recommend someone utilizing the services of an attorney to assist with that, because we cannot by law provide legal, tax, or financial advice. But again, it really is not black and white, and there are certain questions that we can answer, and there are certain questions that we would definitely want to stay away from, because we feel that the client would be best served by going and retaining an attorney. But questions about filing requirements, compliance filings, tax requirements, as far as the particular LLC is concerned, those are questions that we answer all day long, and we can definitely answer for the client.
It's funny to me, like I know one thing that I've had to deal with, and I know a lot of other people I know who read the blog have had to deal with is, say when you form your LLC or your corporation in one state, but then you start working in other states or in multiple states. And at some point, if you're doing a lot of business in some place other than your home state, you have to register as a foreign entity or for a foreign qualification. This is something I was researching quite a bit last year, and I was just amazed at it seemed like such a gray area. Like there wasn't like a yes, do it at this point, and then no, don't do it at this point. It was just kind of like, well, once you do 2 or more deals in another state, then you might want to start thinking about it. Or it was kind of crazy how sort of subjective it was.
The general rule of thumb, Seth, is as follows: if your business is going to be doing business in a different state, and you're going to have presence in that state, you're going to have employees within that state, then the rule of thumb is that you want to set up the business structure within that state. Now, there are 2 ways to do this. Let's say you're a commercial investor, or you have a big real estate investment company and your main hub is in one state and you have a corporation in that state. Then what you want to do is you can either take that business, whether it's a corporation or LLC, and you can set it up as a foreign entity within the second state, or you can just set up a new corporation or LLC within that state. With real estate, the general rule is wherever the real estate or wherever the piece of property or asset is located, you want to set up the corporation or LLC based on what your CPA or tax advisor recommends as to what type of entity it should be within the state that the piece of real estate is located.
Yeah, and that's where it gets tricky for somebody like me because, my LLC is in Michigan. I may be buying 1 property in Georgia, 2 properties in New Mexico, 3 in California, and 5 in Michigan. So do I need to do it in all of those or one but not the other?
I mean, again, if you have different assets in different states and you're going to be collecting fees in those states from those assets, then again, you can do it 2 ways. You can have a main corporation or LLC set up in the main state and then foreign qualify those entities in those various states, or you can set up separately within each of those states. And in my opinion, the best thing to do is in this regard, because it's more tax related than legal related, I would definitely consult with an accountant or a CPA, because really the general question becomes which is going to give the biggest bang for your buck and what way is going to give you the greater tax savings. And depending on what they say, then we can set it up accordingly for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, Nellie, if people want to find out more about you or just learn more about the things you can offer through CorpNet, is there a place on the website they should go and check it out at corpnet.com, or what would you suggest? Where should they start?
So the best place to start is exactly what you brought up, is our website at www.corpnet.com. We have amazing resources and widgets and applications on there that people can start, and that could be their starting point. The website will give you access to my blog as well, which has a plethora of resources and great content on real estate LLCs. In addition to that, I'm very, very active on social media. You can access me on Twitter at CorpNet Nellie. I have a Facebook at Nellie Akalp. We have 2 new Facebook groups that we're starting, which is the Business Formation and Compliance Facebook group. And then we have another Facebook group, which is called our Business Startup Experts, that we've started as well. So come and take a look. CorpNet is also very, very active on social media. You can find us on Facebook at CorpNet, on Instagram at CorpNet, on Twitter at CorpNet. So we're all over the place, and you can always pick up the phone and call us at 1-888-449-2638 or email us to info@corpnet.com. corpnet.com, and we can answer any and all of your business inquiries.
Awesome. And I'll also mention, since we're talking about all this stuff, I do have an affiliate relationship with CorpNet, the REtipster blog does. So if you want to go through our affiliate link, it's just retipster.com/CorpNet. But yeah, Nellie, I appreciate your time, just sharing your expertise and just your thoughts with us about different things that real estate investors are going to be concerned about with regard to corporate formation and how all those things work. Yeah, I just appreciate that, and hopefully we can talk again at some point in the future.
I would love that. And really, if you'd like me to come on and just focus on a specific topic with you, I'm all game for that. You just let me know. But again, thank you for the opportunity to share this information with your audience, and wish you guys the best of luck, and just keep pushing forward.
Awesome. And for that matter, anybody who's listening, if you guys have questions about any specific aspect of corporate formation or anything that Nellie specializes in, leave a comment and let us know, and maybe we can get a better feel for what you guys want to know about. But thanks again, Nellie. Appreciate it very much. Check out corpnet.com. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Seth.
Thanks.